Hello lovely people, welcome back to my channel. I hope you are all well. I hope you are ready for another 2 video extravaganza on a show. If you don't know what we're talking about, I'll get into it in a couple of minutes, but we are here for the first of those 2 videos. Welcome to the Nervous Guide to Sweeney Todd at the Rep in Birmingham. If you want to know what you need to know about the show before you go in, stick around and we'll get into it in 2 whole seconds. So yes, welcome back to another video. This is actually the same time me filming this, I think. I thought I filmed both this and the second video, and neither of them have appeared on my memory card, so doing it again like a week on from the event. Thank you, technology. Anyway, we're here to do the first of 2 videos. If you don't know what I'm talking about and you're thinking this girl is insane, what was going on? I think that most days, but long story short, for every show that I see, I like to do 2 separate videos, time and willing permitted. The first one being this one. This is the Nervous Guide. The Nervous Guide is hopefully everything you need to know about the show before you go in, whether that be sensory warnings, content warnings, information about the show as a whole, including like running time, etc. View from my seat, any merchandise purchased / available, etc. Things that might make the trip to the theatre a little bit easier and a little bit less stressful. That is the hope and the wish. The second video is the review. The review is always put in inverted commas because at the end of the day I'm in no way professional. I just like to go and see theatre, and sometimes you see theatre alone. When you go as a solo watcher, you haven't got the chance after the event to talk through your thoughts and your feelings and everything you enjoyed. So that is what I do here, basically. So yeah, that is the spiel. Not bad speed wise. Let's get into this video. I never know where to start, so we're going to start today with merch, because why not? I bought 2 things, being the programme and also a collection of badges that come in this lovely organza bag. Excuse me, organza bag. There we go. There is 3 badges in total. They are badges and not pins. We all know my thoughts on that, but I went with 2 friends and one of said friends bought the badges, and I was like, I'll just do the same. So the 3 badges look like this. There is one with an outline of Mrs. Lovett. I don't know how well these are going to show up. Let's go old school beauty YouTuber, even though it just wants to focus on my nails. There we go. There is an outline of Sweeney, which looks like this, and then there is one that just has Sweeney Todd, Dean Barbara's Fleet Street, a musical thriller. Again, I don't know how well they'll show up, but yeah, they jingle and they jungle. I may put one, I may put all 3, but I haven't got a lot of space left on my pin badge board at the current time. We shall see. The 2 of these together cost me £16, so 6 for the programme, 10 for the badges. There was also other things available. If I just get the Reps Instagram up, because I know it is on there. We have got also available from the kiosk in the main foyer, which looks like that. It is stunning. I believe it is the same kiosk they've used for previous shows. May have given it a lick of paint for this, I don't know. I haven't looked at it too much before. So available from the kiosk in the main foyer, you have tote bags, notebooks, pens, badges, posters, keyrings and mugs. There we go. Like I said, the 2 things I purchased cost me £16, so not terribly priced. it's merch. Merch is always going to be a little bit pricey. The other thing I got from the rep, this. On entrance, once our bags were checked, the man was like, help yourself to a fan. So we all did. It is a piece of cardboard. It says the rep, distinctively the rep, and proudly Birmingham. Does make a lot of noise, but it does produce a little bit of cool. I didn't actually use it in the show because I was okay temperature wise. I was dressed pretty much like this actually, and I did have a cardigan in case the aircon was too powerful. It wasn't too bad. My friend next to me got a little bit warm, so she did start using hers halfway through, and I got a little bit of a secondary fanage, if you will. But it was really useful to have these on board, and they were literally on a table and they were like, help yourself. Because I don't know if you know, but the UK recently has been very hot. We haven't seen rain in about 5 weeks, and yeah, a part of me would quite like to change that, please, if the weather is listening. So that is merchandise all sorted. Let's go into running time and age recommendation next. So on the website, age recommendation is set at 14 plus. I 100% agree. I feel like everyone understands what you're getting into with this show a little bit. There is blood, there is guts, there is a lot to talk about content and sensory wise, which we'll get into in a little bit. But yes, it is a musical. There is like some jollity, there is some humour. It's dark humour very much, but there is humour in it within. But 14 plus, definitely, I would agree. Running time wise, I, as always, look at the poster. I always love a theatre that does this. The Wolves Grand are excellent at doing this, excuse me, this as well. And others starting to get on board the little poster, which always helps me a great deal. So the running time for this show is 2 hours and 50 minutes. Act 1 being an hour and a half. Then there is a 20-minute interval, and then Act 2 is an hour long. It didn't feel long at any point. You were kind of on the edge of your seat at all times for various reasons, especially if you're like me and didn't really know a lot going in. But yes, I felt at no time looking at my watch, I was like, ugh. In fact, my watch did me dirty a couple of times because I set it so that when I lift my wrist up it switches itself on, and a couple of times I was like, ugh, and it just woke up. I thought someone's going to tell me off because there's a bright light. So I was sitting like this for quite a lot of the time. So that is running time and age recommendations. Shall we just get into the sensory and content? Because we have things to discuss. Sometimes in these videos, in the nervous guides, I talk about the theatre. I have been going to the Rep for quite a few years. It is one of my favourite places to visit in Birmingham for theatre. Maybe one day I'll do like a rating. I'll be like, top theatres in Birmingham. I visited 3 at this point. Have I? No, I visited 4. Go me. But the Rep is very much up there as one of my favourites, just for various reasons that I'm not getting into right now. But I've never had a problem toilet wise. There is copious amounts of toilets, and there is a decent amount of space in said toilets. And seat wise, actually, let's discuss that next. Seat wise, it's always been a comfy theatre to sit in. Let's do that quickly because I forgot that I do that in these videos. I don't know the specific number of my seat because I didn't have the tickets. One of my party or did. We were in O, and I think we're about 41, 42, but do not quote me on this. I could be wrong. We are, as you look at the stage, about 4, 5 seats in from the exit aisle. My view looked like this, if that helps. I feel like at the Rep there is no bad seat. From where we sat, we didn't miss pretty much anything. There was one moment where one actor went up the set of stairs on our side of the stage, because as you looked at the stage, the set was very stationary, in that only one thing moved up and down, and there was a couple of times that some things came from above. We'll talk about that more in the next video, but for the most part every piece of action was in the middle. One actor went up the set of stairs on the one side, because there was stairs on both sides of the stage, and they went to a certain point and we kind of missed their face a little bit, but it wasn't a big point, it was more them saying something before they went into the middle. So the long and short of it, we didn't miss a lot. Like I said, I don't think there is a terrible seat at the Rep. Every time I've sat there I've been comfy, I've had great leg room, being 5'7" and plus size, shall we say. They're always comfy. And little hint in case you haven't booked yet, if you want even more leg room, like I said, I've never had a problem leg room wise. There's always been a big gap between my legs and the chairs in front. If you go into row, I believe L, they are the extra legroom seats, which means that you will never have any chair go anywhere near your leg, and sometimes when people are trying to get past you, they can literally walk past without you getting up, which is sometimes an absolute joy. I nearly forgot that. Well done me for coming back. So let's get into what we've all been waiting to do, which is the content and sensory situation. So like I said earlier in this video, I have never seen any iteration of Sweeney Todd, film or stage or otherwise. I did go on Wikipedia the day before, but I did know going in there was going to be blood and guts and gore and that kind of situation going on. The Rep are amazing in that they always put a content advice bit on their page. My brightness is always up too high for these videos when I show my phone. It's literally on their website at towards the bottom of their Sweeney Todd page. But if I could just read to you quickly, hopefully. So it says, a razor sharp story of retribution, this darkly comic and dramatic musical tells the story of a barber who returns to Georgian London seeking revenge after years of wrongful imprisonment and forming an unlikely partnership with a struggling pie shop owner. Most of the story is set against the backdrop of class division, corruption and social inequality in Georgian London. Then in bold it puts, this story contains sensitive content including sexual and rape references, gyrating, animal cruelty, sexual innuendo, mild strong language and suicide references. Please note this production also contains stage blood, loud gunshot sound effects, use of a weapon on stage, loud music, haze and strobe lighting throughout. Like I said, there is a lot to warn you on, but I appreciate wholeheartedly all that information. And it, like I said, they also have the posters as you enter the auditorium, as I've already shown you, and most of that is also on there because we love to inform people. In relation to my notes, and if you don't know and this is your first time watching one of these nervous guides, I always write my own notes on things that I wanted to like just warn on, and this is more from the things that kind of affect me more, just because it's like personal things that has stuck in my head prior to filming this video. So my normal things that I am a bit anxious around are visible guns and gunshot sounds and loud noises, also sometimes bright flashing lights, sometimes haze, depending on whether it is what I like to call stage haze or audience haze, and also usually anything that is quite chaotic and loud I'm not a noise person, let's just leave it at that. So I've got for Act 1, before the curtain goes up, the first thing to be aware of is at the end of the prelude, which is how the show starts. The lights dim, and before the curtain goes up, there is a piece of organ music which starts off kind of okay, and it builds and builds and builds and gets more chaotic, more chaotic, more chaotic. I don't think I said chaotic well once in that sentence, but as it reaches its peak before the curtain goes up, there is a scream. It's quite a loud scream. I don't know if it's recorded or if it's a member of the cast before the curtain goes up, but it kind of comes at the end of the very chaotic organ music, which is something to be prepared for. I also have put the killing of a bird. How to put this? Long and short, there is one scene where Joanna is talking to, I think it's a bird seller. He walks on stage carrying his collection of birds in boxes, and then he leaves them in front of the gate Joanna is behind to go and sit on the side of the steps and, I'm assuming, eat lunch. He sat there with a sandwich. At the end of Joanna's song, which is Linnets and something birds, you'd think I'd know more because I've been rinsing the cast recording all week from Broadway. Greenfinch and Linnet Bird, so close. After that song happens, the character of Anthony then buys a bird from the seller, who then walks off with the rest of them. Then another character comes onto the stage, takes the bird out of said cage and essentially unalives it, let's put it that way, and then walks off with said bird. The bird is a puppet, obviously, but it is still something to be aware of because it is a bit of animal cruelty, which is not as fun. The first of the unalivings, shall we call it, happens after a bit of a fight between Sweeney and another barber called Pirelli. I feel like I can spoil a little bit because I feel like I'm in the minority of people who don't know what you're stepping into to see this show. Plus it's all on Wikipedia because that's how I found out before I went. There is a bit of a fight between the two in the barber room of Sweeney, and at the end of all that fighting, the other barber, Pirelli, there is no blood for this one because it's not been done in the chair. It's kind of at the end of the fight. Then Pirelli gets put into a large box which is in the barber room of Sweeney, and that is the last you see of Pirelli. So no blood in that one, and that is kind of the limiting of the throat cutting for Act 1. The only other thing that is something to be warned of in Act 1 is the attempted killing of another person. He is sat in the chair. He goes to do it but then stops because there is a scream, and that happens during Pretty Women, I believe. The other thing to mention, which I've just forgotten and it's just come back into my head because I did not write it down in my notes, but I want to mention it. There is one moment of a rape. Let's just say it how it is. During the song Poor Thing, which is sung by Mrs. Lovett, who is retelling the story of Sweeney Todd, essentially to Sweeney Todd, because Sweeney Todd is not his real name, spoiler alert. There is a moment where there is a depiction of a rape between two characters. You kind of can see it about to happen. It is during a party scene between Sweeney's wife and another character. It is front and centre at the middle of the stage. It is something to again be aware of. Act 2, we move on to what I just put, a lot of throat cutting. My goodness, such a lot. Starting with the first song of the act, which is called God That's Good. Long and short of it, there is 2 separate places to be watching. Downstairs in the pie shop, they're all saying how great the pies are, and then above, Sweeney's magic seat, as you will, comes down from above, lands in place, is put in position, and then a collection of different people come into Sweeney's shop and don't come out, essentially. And that is pretty much the first song of the act. Each one is put into the chair or sits in the chair, and after a while they get their throat cut. There is a bit of stage blood that comes out into the like bib apron situation around their neck, and then they are descended down below into the ovens, if you will. That happens a lot through that song, and then a few other times to different people throughout Act 2. There is a lot of killing in Act 2, let's put it that way. The other thing to mention, and like I said, one of my things is guns and gunshots. There is a visible gun to warn you on. It comes before the song City on Fire. There is a scene before that song. Well, there's a couple of scenes before that song. Firstly, you have Sweeney and Anthony in the room, because Anthony has come to tell Sweeney that he's going to find his love who's been put wrongfully in an insane asylum, and Sweeney hands him a gun of his from the big chest and says, have this if you need it. And then the gun goes off with Anthony. It's then seen again in the next scene where they are at the asylum. Joanna comes to the front of the gate, and Anthony is the other side. He points the gun at the owner of the asylum, and the gun is fired. It isn't a massively loud gunshot sound. It's there and it comes with a spark, but it's not massively loud, and it is kind of encapsulated in with everything else that's going on at that time, including music. So it wasn't the loudest. I didn't cover my ears for it, which is a pat on the back for me. But from City on Fire onwards, you are kind of, it's all going down. Let's just put it that way. Mainly with this one, if you are not the best with blood, even if it's stage blood, there is a lot of it, especially in Act 2. There is even a moment at one point where the character Mrs. Lovett is at the front of the stage with a bucket. She then lifts a grate up that's in the stage and then pours a lot of red liquid into that grate, which is kind of into the sewers, and occasionally there is a lump of something kind of a bit like an organ of some sort. If I'd gone and seen this show alone, I probably wouldn't have seen it because I didn't know what I was getting myself into. I went with friends, and I think that is my best move, especially because the friend that I sat next to, because there was 3 of us, apart from the first time, every time someone went down the off the seat into the oven down below, my friend next to me just went wee really quietly in my ear, which really helped the situation and made me giggle a little bit, which, I mean, it has some dark comedic moments, but the moments that I was laughing at probably not supposed to be funny. And that is my list in its entirety, and I think that's pretty much everything that I need to warn you on. Like I said, the content warnings and the content advice on the website was very handy, and also knowing what I was going into for this one was, again, very handy. I don't often look at synopsises before I go, but I felt like it was helpful for me for this one because I knew there was going to be a lot of blood and death involved. So yeah, it was good to be prepared. But that is pretty much that. That is everything that I need to say for this video. I'm going to hopefully film the other one now and then double check that it's all on my memory card, because I actually don't know what happened. I'm very upset. But yes, that is the Nervous Guide all done. Thank you for watching this video. Congratulations if you got to the end. Have you seen this version of Sweeney Todd, or are you planning to? It is around until the 15th of August. I love the wrap because they put how long their shows are on for. So get a ticket. I am aware that there are tickets available. There is not many because it is a fantastic show. Spoiler alert for the next video. But other than that, I'm going to sign off. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you come back. And yeah, all that's left to say is what I usually say, which is so long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, and goodbye. Bye everyone.